there, welcome to Lorena's Labyrinth today. Today we're going to be talking about the guardian angel and how to make your own connection. Now, I understand that there will be people that will go like, oh, knee-jerk, no, that's got to be rubbish. She's clearly insane. What I would ask you to do is, before we get into the content, just try and have an open mind, okay? And be open to the possibility that they may exist, and it might be worth your effort to give some of the technique and strategy a go. Before we do get into the content, which, fair warning here, I will be drawing upon a lot of my personal experiences, my understandings. I'll give you a bit of information that I've picked up along the way, and I'll actually say where I have mixed feelings about it. It might be the teachings of other people, and where I don't have a clear yes or no on whether or not there is a truth to the information that's presented, because the angelic connection, particularly to the guardian, is a very, very personal thing. It's a very personal connection, and it's definitely not one size that fits all. The idea, of course, is that once we have developed this connection, that we include it in our daily life. And this is because as we connect with our guardian and our guides and support teams, it actually strengthens our connection to the Creator and the capacity to receive miracles and blessings in our life. Now, I hope you can't hear that squeaking in the background, but if you can, I'm going to push on through it because, of course, that's a little doggy. Now, a bit of background for you here is I have been recording all of the angel videos in advance, and I've held off on this one because it's so, I guess, important to me, important to my heart, and I feel that to be able to do justice to giving this information, I wanted to make sure that I was going to do it right, those quotation marks, to give you the best start to connecting with your angel and to developing some understanding of the experience. Now, just remember that sometimes as we walk the earth path, we can feel very isolated and alone, especially in modern times where everybody seems to be isolated, separate. There's a lot of conflict, and sometimes the path of life feels extremely challenging. Well, the point is, during these dark days, there is a truth to that saying of footsteps on the beach or whatever, that when I was going through the darkest days of my life, I wasn't aware, but actually you were carrying me through them. That's kind of the sensation that is conveyed once we connect with the guardian angel. And I keep meaning to say, because I haven't said it yet, thank you for actually clicking on this video and attempting. I'm presuming and hoping that the reason you've clicked on it is because you're eager to make your own connection in ways that are real for you as you walk your own path, that you want to actually maximize this connection. So thank you for joining me. If you're a return visitor, thank you for your ongoing support. If you're a newbie to the channel, welcome to the channel. You're going to find a playlist with all of the angel content on there. Now, I was going to say too, just this forewarning stuff or preparation, introductory type conversation for this video, is that while I'm recording this video today and it's going to actually be published on Saturday, the reality is it is the last video in the series that I'm doing on angels right now, and I've got them scheduled to be published. The other thing that I was going to say to you is, to make it easier for you, I'm actually going to put chapters in and also give you some of my experiences. I do have a video about my journey into finding angels and going from being a skeptic to actually being it goes beyond belief, okay? Once we have made this connection, we can do so in a way where we actually know, okay? So, anyway, going through as well, comfort is absolutely essential to making the personalised connection with the angels, particularly the guardian one. Now, when people are trying to connect, I will give you forewarning here as well that it feels a bit weird when you first start out doing it. It's like reaching out in the darkness to a helpful stranger, and we're basically focused on this sensation of trust. We don't know this person. The person obviously doesn't have a body, but somehow within we know that this person is trustworthy and that they're here to help us. Now, the reason I mention the tunnel, because I like to personalise. I like the names. For me, if I'm going to be standing in a tunnel looking to get help from somebody, whether it's an angel or anybody, I don't really like the idea of saying, hey, you, I like to actually give the guide or the angel a name and to refer to them, because that strengthens my capacity to be able to connect with them. So that's about comfort, and that's just a tip for you. So without further ado, let's get into talking about who and what guardian angels are. And the first thing to understand is that we all actually have one. They're with us at all times. It's not that they go, oh, we're off for a holiday right now. They're with us. They're there for a purpose. I've mentioned in my other videos, if you don't like the word angel, then change it, okay? Because words seem to, they either bring comfort or they don't. So angels are actually known by other names as well. Some people will refer to them as beings of light and love, or light beings of the highest vibration. Some people will refer to them, of course, as celestial beings or the shining ones. So whatever works for you, whatever makes you feel comfortable as you go into these activities, is the important factor. The other factor to take into account is that whilst a lot of the images that I create, and a lot of the images you will see everywhere depicting angels, show them with these feathery wings like a bird. Now, this is incorrect. They don't have a physical body. They're not birds. They do have winged auras, but it just seems to be more comfortable, I guess, for those of us creating images to give these wings, the wings on the angels, to make them like a bird. It just is prettier. It's more comforting. And also, from my perspective, because I've got developed clairvoyance and that kind of thing, for me, the angel wings that are like a bird, they become symbolic. But realistically, when we do look at an angel's aura, it's a little bit like this particular image I've got here, except that I've made the wings on this particular angelic image to be massive. They're actually not that massive. If you've got your clairvoyance well developed, you won't see them as big as what they are here. But having said that, of course, once again, I say there's always variations to truth. So you might actually see them really large, but if they're much smaller, don't stress about it, because each to their own. Now, you'll notice in this particular image that I've created one where you actually can't see the face, okay? And that a lot of the features of the angel is actually disguised through the light. So the image I've created is more in alignment with what we call the first order heart angels, which is, of course, what a guardian angel is. But the other reason I've done it this way is because my understanding is, and this is as a person that sees spirit and has done readings lots of times, is that as a rule, angels will not actually show themselves. This is the guardian angel. They might show themselves as a light being type aura to somebody. If I'm doing a reading for somebody, I might see them as this glowing light shape that's got certain structure to the actual aura or the shape of the aura, but I won't actually see the identifying features. Now, my understanding is this is because it's a personal thing. The person who we might call a current or whatever, who's getting a reading, it is their journey to be able to see and to identify their own guardian angel. And this is why we don't get to see, when I say we, me as the reader or the consult, doesn't get to see the fullness of their guardian angel, because this is about them developing truth for themselves. What I can do sometimes when doing readings is confirm for a person if what they have seen is their guardian angel, but I don't need to see their angel to do that. I just communicate with mine. The other thing is too, when it comes to establishing part of your life path or your journey or whatever, angels, of course, are either golden light or white light. And once we can identify this is going to have meaning to part of our life path today. Now, the other thing too that is debatable, it depends on who you're talking to, is there's a different belief around, is a guardian angel with us for this lifetime or since our own personal soul was created? Now, I've always thought, up until recently doing this particular video, that we have our guardian angels from the point of creation, once our soul has been created. But I have to admit, at this point in time, I'm actually rethinking it a bit, but I don't know. What I am convinced of is that whether we have these guardian angels just for this lifetime and not for future ones, is that we are not abandoned by them. They stay with us, obviously, for as long as they are needed. As I said before, I used to believe that And I think to a large extent, I still believe that it is from the point of creation, but I think it must also be a case of sometimes it's like this and sometimes it's like that, person-centered type thing. Sorry, as I think on this, I'm contemplating. But anyway, I won't spend too much contemplating. I'm going to leave you to try and create your own connection at the end of this video. And if this is a question that you've got, you could perhaps put it to your own guardian angel. So either way, let's talk briefly about the angelic hierarchy and the role of the guardian angels within this. They are part of the first order heart angels, okay? Now, these particular, as a rule, these first order heart angels come in a shower of very warm light, and they are distinguishable from the other angels because their arms reach out toward you, and this is associated with enfolding you in the embrace of divine love. They tend to be a little smaller in stature than the archangels because they're actually pretty huge and massive, and in my experience, I will say the guardian angel is actually pretty huge as well, just not as huge, right? They will usually emanate a shimmering and pink and green light that trails it off in a multitude, if I can speak, multitude of directions. They have a very soft glow about their faces, much like the image I had on the other video screen, the shot that you had. And this glow is basically glowing from their heart center, and it's just shining upwards. So it gives their face a glow as well. They are said to be born of a partnership that allows for individuality while still feeling connected to the collective and the creator. So I hope that makes sense to you. I'm not going to spend too much time trying to describe what that actually translates to as energy, but what it means is it's okay to be unique. It's okay to be individual. We are all unique individual expressions of the Creator, but we are also one of a mass, okay? We are a group. There is a group collective consciousness, if you like. Anyway, what else can I say? So first order heart angels carry this energy and desire to care for others, and they also carry a really deep sense of gratitude with them. Now, if you're a big picture person with a desire to care for others and you have a softness about you, then that is an indicator that you're most likely working with heart angels, okay? And you're encouraged to follow the call of your heart. Now, when I've worked with these type of people, they really have this wonderful, soft, gentle aspect to their persona that makes them basically likable and irresistible to everybody. Now, before I get on to the next slide, I just want to remind you here that it's a case of really keeping an open mind, because it's all right to turn around and go, oh, this sounds like a load of waffle. That's fine. That is fine. You can think that if you want, but try and keep an open mind that once again, you may not know everything, okay? That there is always something to learn about life. And if you go into the contemplation, keeping an open mind, you might develop a connection, but in a different way to me, and that's fine. However you find your peace, however you connect to the divine is the key, just that you connect. So if you haven't watched the other videos yet, I just want to bring your attention back to the fact that there is a certain kind of behavior that we expect from angels, because this is part of who and what they are. And this helps us to be less fearful when we're creating our connection. And this is understanding at a core level that they are not judgmental. They are unconditionally loving towards you, the person that they are being a protector of. There's nothing you could ever do that would stop them from loving you, okay? They will... I'm going to go into it in more detail because, of course, we have free will, and sometimes we as humans make some really questionable decisions that take us down an unsavory path. Our angels are not going to abandon us, because their role is actually to help to bring us back from the darkness and into the light and back onto our path, okay? The path towards the Creator and, fulfilling our divine plan. Now, the other thing too is, of course, where I think it's important to actually notice this is in times where we've got increased diagnosis of schizophrenia and all the rest of it. The point is that if you do end up hearing your angel's voice or divine guidance or whatever, there's a really big factor involved with this. They will never, ever, ever tell you to do anything that is going to hurt another person. or yourself, right? So if you are hearing those kind of voices, that's a delusion, okay? The angelic voice is one that is supportive, loving, compassionate. They are messengers. If you are in a dark space, they want to jump in and support you to get back into this peaceful space. Now, part of the reason why we can also be assured by that angels will never ever tell us to do something that takes us off the path, that is unloving and unkind, is because they also are bound by spiritual law, and they also can create negative karma for themselves. In my experience, I actually can't fathom that an angel would want to do anything that is less than love of the creator or ourselves, because their path is actually to help solidify that connection we've got with the creator. And we can connect with them through this recognition, praise, gratitude, and love. That's the surrender attitudes, and we'll come back to that later. The other thing I just want to put in here, and I'm going to keep repeating this stuff too throughout, is that once we make this connection, the angels are just sitting on the other side. Well, I say sitting on the other side, they're there. They can't wait to jump in and intervene. It's such a fun day when they can access you because you've invited them in. And this is when you're going to start to see miracles and blessings and really, truly understand at a core level creator, divine love. So to simplify this a little bit, just to help you out here, when I first started doing my connections and learning how to recognize and respond to spirit, I wasn't actually sure when I was seeing an angel to start with because I was still developing the clairs. But one thing that I learned and I lived by was, if it did not make you feel good, if you weren't feeling love, if you did hear messages that potentially were scary, or telling you to do something, or that created fear in a person, that's not love, okay? Love does not create fear. So you either haven't listened to the whole message, or you are not communicating with a spirit of the highest vibration, which of course I call angels. So the way I learned to get through this was to recognize their energy before anything else. When we have an angelic experience, there is nothing that we can really do. Words will not do it justice, okay? It's very clear, when we actually interact with them, and it becomes a clear knowing, okay? There becomes no confusion about the type of spirit that we're interacting with. Their energy is pure bliss. It is extremely loving. It can be playful. And that's about all that I will leave with you. And when I say playful, it's not like practical jokes type fun. It is almost childish pleasure. And this is probably why they say, there's this saying that see the world like it's all new again, and adopt an attitude of being like a child where everything is just amazing and awesome. And I know awesome is a word that's overused, but it does create this sense of awe within and around. And anyway, I think bliss is the best way to describe an angelic experience. Now, as with humans, angels are bound by karma, okay? They're bound by spiritual law, and this knowledge helps for us to feel safe and secure, right? That because they are obviously the highest vibration, closest to the creator out of all of us, as far as, I guess, a one-to-one energy and light vibration levels, the reality is that they don't desire to do any harm anyway. This is based on my experience. I must admit, I did go through a stage of questioning, as you do, with part of my development in the can you get low vibration angels and all of this kind of thing. So, part of me logically, rationally says, look, if we've got yang and positives and negatives out of everything, then there is a chance, of course, perhaps there is, who am I? I don't know everything. Maybe it is possible that we can have angels of questionable intent. But where I went with that, because I felt that that kind of thought process actually crippled me and blocked me from trying to create this connection with my guardian and and with the divine. So what I chose to do and what I recognized, and this is why you see this again and again in the invocations and affirmations, is if my intention is to connect with the highest vibration of love, light, and the divine creator, then the creator knows my intention. And so therefore I call upon the creator before I call upon the angels. And this is a practice that I have included all the way through. And I encourage other people to adopt this practice as well, because you can rest assured the creator's got divine love for us. Now, my understanding, going back to what we can expect when we are creating this connection with the highest vibration of being, is that angels are bound by spiritual law as well, and this spiritual law of do no harm, because the higher our vibration gets, apparently the quicker our karma returns to us. I can also say I've experienced that as well, actually, that, we do create karma for ourselves, and angels are no different where that is concerned. And therefore, if an angel is to make the focus of disrupting people's lives and creating fear and harm for them, they're going to incur karma for themselves. And it's not necessarily going to be pleasant either, I might add. And within the context of a guardian angel, just remember their primary task, their focus is to not only to create and solidify this connection that we have with the creator and to bring divine love into our lives and to help us live and walk our divine purpose. It's also to guard and protect us as we find our purpose again, and to guard the divine blueprint. These are my understandings of it anyway. But of course, as always, I'm happy to hear your comments, your feelings, your thoughts. So the other thing to understand that's actually vital as far as us connecting with our angels is that we have free will, okay? I don't know, my understanding is I actually don't know if angels have got free will, but certainly humans do. There is an element such as myself that believe that angels don't have free will, that they actually are bound by their own divine blueprint. But once again, as I say, I'm no expert on everything, and I'm open to people sharing their knowledge and information to me. But when it comes to humans, we certainly do have free will as to pursuing our divine plan and our purpose. Now, part of this free will dictates the behaviour by the angels as well. They cannot enter into our aura without actually being invited. And so therefore, it can be a bit of a barrier until we learn. We must ask, okay? We must ask for them to come in. And until we invite them in, they don't actually intervene. We miss out on things such as these amazing miracles and blessings that we would like to experience. But rather what the angels do is they stand on the peripherals of our aura, and they act only in the essence of protecting the divine plan. Once we have invited them in, we can call upon them for miracles, if you like, in our in the physical existence. And I can think of a number of occasions where I've experienced these interventions myself, but you have to ask, okay? So just reminding you, ask, and you shall receive. And if you desire to have a more personalised and direct connection and communication with them, then you ask them and you invite them in, and that becomes your free will. And in the same way, if you are experiencing visitation by spirit or whatever and you're not comfortable with it, or if your gifts suddenly fly open, you are in control of your path. So you can actually turn around and say to the guardians, I'm frightened, I'm fearful, I'm not comfortable or whatever, and they will respect your desires and work with you in ways to make you feel comfortable and safe, because that is one of their primary goals, I guess. Your comfort, happiness and bliss is a primary goal for them. So, you know what I mean? When I say primary goals being the divine creator, this underpins everything to connect us to the creator. But beyond that, it becomes helping us to feel comfortable and safe to develop these connections in personalised ways. So we're in control. So as part of this, it's actually really important that we have a very strong connection and a strong understanding and relationship, if you like, with our guardian angels. Because when we have that relationship, then we know and understand the message that we give. Now, you will know this equally when you have relationships, close relationships with people. And by that, this could be I don't know, your most intimate friendships, where there can be this unspoken sense of communication where you only have to look at each other and you actually understand what the other person is trying to convey to you. Well, in many ways, when we talk about the angelic communication and connection, there is this unspoken, literal unspoken connection and understanding. So before we get into how you actually do the connection, I'm going to remind you that your angels will never, ever, ever tell you to hurt somebody or to hurt yourself. They never ever give fear-based messages, and they never ever create harm for any person anywhere. These are pure love connections, about strengthening our connection to the Creator. So without further ado, let's jump in and talk about a ritual that we can do to strengthen this personal connection that we have to the divine and to our angels. And so I'll get straight into it. As I said, it's going to enhance your capacity to be receptive to your divine guidance, and also not just be receptive, but to hear, to understand, to respond to these divine messages. Now, to do this, we must invite the angel, our guardian angel, into our aura. So just a reminder, this is a fairly sacred ritual, or it's certainly one that's sacred to me, and it's one that I have delayed sharing with you because well, I can't think of any other reason except to say that, it just feels so deeply personal and sacred to me that I recognise I've got a little bit of internal, I think the mental health professionals would call it cognitive dissonance, where the heart knows that I should tell you, but my mind has been a little bit reluctant to share the information, which of course is absolutely ludicrous, and I know that. So I'm grabbing the bull by the horns today, and I'm actually finishing this video off for you so I can put it online, because I think it's really important. There is that internal knowledge also that's very important, that we all strengthen our connection and align our sense of self with creative will. Okay, so this is a compilation of techniques that I've learned and picked up along the years, and it starts in the knowledge that the vibration of the angelic aura is so high and so fast as compared to the human vibration, which is really low and slow. So to be able to connect with our guardian angel, we've got to create an energetic vibration space, which is the equivalent of a meeting ground. And in this space, the angels will lower their vibration to something that is not going to be too difficult for us to attain. So the bottom line is they actually don't lower or slow down their vibration to a human level. I'm not sure if it's possible. I got told that they can't do it. Here I'm just sharing information with no firm conviction either way, that angels can't come down to the lower levels of the human vibration, and that if they were to meet us at this high vibration that they have now, if we were to get to that, it would be too high for us, too strong for us, and it would probably result in us no longer having a physical body. Okay, so this is why I'm not saying that's true or not. What I'm saying is that my understanding is that we create a meeting ground around our physical body, and we invite the angels into this space, and where it is at a far more comfortable level and safe level for humans. And we do this by putting ourselves in a golden light bubble in our aura. Okay, now when we're doing this, we're raising and speeding up our own vibration for a temporary period at least. Okay, and the angels are downgrading their personal vibration for a temporary level. They're always going to be on the peripherals, but when we want to have that personalized connection, we adjust our vibration and light levels to be able to meet safely. So what you do is basically, as with any type of meditation, you state your intention before you actually begin the activity. So you would do something. I've got an invocation on one of the upcoming slides, but basically you're saying, I am creating the space to connect and develop a personal connection with my guardian angel, thanks be, kind of thing. I've got another, as I said, there's an invocation on one of the next slides. For now, I'm just explaining the process. You state your intention. you then do the breath and the visualization, and you visualize your aura anywhere from between 1.5 meters to 3 meters. And if you don't use meters, I think we're talking about 3 to 9 foot if you use feet and inches. But basically, you're visualizing your aura filling with this golden light, okay? And my understanding, something I got told years ago, is that there is something about this golden light that makes it the perfect cellular speed, if you like, atomic speed or whatever, for this meeting ground. Now, once you've put it out there and you've been doing this visualization of bringing the light into your aura, you then put your focus on the breath, okay? And you just breathe. You allow yourself to become very centered right here in the here and now, and you allow your awareness to recognize and observe. You really have to take on board this observational type role, because when you make your connection, and I just want to put a disclaimer in here as well, that sometimes for people, including myself, it can take weeks. I did this activity every night for 4 weeks with no success. Now, I understand this is because I was trying too hard. This is one of the things I learned. Yet other people I know have been able to do the connection on the very first attempt. So when you do your invocation and that kind of stuff, just be aware and acknowledge it will happen at the divine time, in the divine way, under grace. And just because we're trying doesn't mean that it's going to happen. And just because we're not seeing anything or consciously recognizing anything doesn't mean that it's not happening either. Okay, so you've just got to trust the process a little bit. But anyway, getting back to this, is when you're sitting in this position of drawing on the energy and you take on this observational role, when we talk about strengthening the communication, it's a bit like tuning in the old radio, getting it at exactly the right frequency. So in some ways, once you actually get this connection happening, you might actually see activity, spirit activity, in fact the angels, on your peripherals of your vision, okay? And the idea is to actually feed back, to acknowledge, The struggle initially is that the first time we see something, it's exciting, You kind of do this little bit of a jump, if not physically, your mind does a jolt or you get excited or whatever. And when you do that, you break the frequency. The idea is that you've got to remain calm, observe, and then carry the thought of, thank you, I see you, or whatever, because this is all telepathic. I can see you, you're on my peripherals. Can you come closer, or can you come to the front, or whatever? You feed back what you're seeing, because they're actually tuning in and trying to work with you to your comfort levels, but also to be able to help you to clearly see, understand, and know. Now, if you've got questions, please do write a comment, or if you've got experiences that you're comfortable sharing, please do write them below. What I'm going to do now is step onto the next phase of this particular video and talk about invocations and some of my personal experiences as far as using technique and strategy goes. And I realize the video is getting long, but just a reminder, we do chapters in the description, so you can jump from bit to bit. And when I share my experiences with you, this is not about being the only way of doing things. These are my experiences. These are what have worked for me. They may work for you. They may not. You may have different ways. But growth is about sharing information and growing together. So anyway, I'll crack on. So I've put up an example of an invocation that you can do here. And as you see, I've put invitation at the top of this slide. And this is because when we're actually invoking the way I've put through today, it's an invitation. You're extending an invitation. Some people might actually call it a command, because the bottom line is, when we invoke the angels, divine will, this kind of thing, they're never going to knock us back, particularly if it's in alignment with the higher self aspects and divine will. So remember, just the reminder again, it may take more than one attempt, but even if it takes more time and that becomes frustrating for you, just remember, your guardian angel and your guides, they're never going to abandon you. They will never, ever disrespect you. your comfort levels are their priority. They want you to feel safe. They seek to work with you, to assist you, to support you through your life challenges, and to strengthen the connection and assist you to walk your divine pathway through life. Now, you can use the invocation here, or you can create one of your own. It's up to you, okay? You follow your own guidance. As I say, I just give you strategy to have a look at and think about and work on doing your own. Now, what else can I say here? Just at the end of any invocation, just a reminder, gratitude's really important. Now, the other thing is too, when we invoke our guardian angels, you don't have to be invoking, well, in fact, any angels really, just for this type of activity, right? You can call on your guardian angel for other occasions, particularly if you're invoking, let's say, one of the other angels, because I've got the angelic videos up, for a specific healing purpose, you can actually call upon your guardian to participate in those activities as well. In fact, I never ever call just on the one angel for a specific purpose. I always call upon the creator first, then my guardian, and then whatever particular healing purpose I'm looking for. So some suggestions that you could call upon your guardian for to assist you with is healing purposes and the basics, such as opening your heart to the giving and receiving of unconditional divine love, or to remove negativity and inappropriate fear from your aura at a cellular level. You can even request to have your aura purified and your intention, okay, because the intention is really important, to purify your intention under grace and in the divine way. Now, you of course don't have to, but when I do angelic connection activities, I actually like to include a bit of ceremony and ritual in the process. I say ritual, but that can be a bit of a scary word, but let's just say ritual is a word to substitute for me for habitual, right? Because I want it to be embedded into my behavior, that when I am doing these activities, that I ensure that I include the elements of the wind, water, earth, and fire, just as respect to the universe. But at the same time, I like to simplify things, and we can actually multitask. So I don't have an angel altar anymore, although some people will recommend that. I did in the past when I was first getting into this stuff, but I still actually pay my respects, if you like, to the elements. Okay, now just a reminder, the word elements covers wind, water, earth, and fire. Okay, now where I'm going with this is because I like to simplify. I'm a little bit lazy at times, and to me, if you can find a shortcut and an easier way, it's always better as far as I'm concerned. Anything that becomes too complex gets to become a little bit too much hard work. So what I like to do, I have an essential oil burner where I put a candle underneath it, so you fill the little bowl with water, you light the candle, and then the essential oils become vaporized. Now, the essential oil pays respect to both the earth and air. Okay, so we're covering two there. By the use of the candle with the burner, as I stumble over my words, we're looking at including the fire element with this and also with the water. So I've covered the whole lot of them in just that one little function. However, let's be real, I actually do like to do other things as well, which might be holding a crystal while I do my meditation or whatever to connect with my angels. But you can be as creative as you want when it comes to preparing to do your own divine communication. You don't have to do any of this at all. I also will actually play relaxation music, something that inspires and raises my spirits. And in fact, actually, while I think of that, Enya is actually a really good one to have playing in the background if you're trying to raise your personal vibration. But yeah, anyway, I'm not going to keep waffling on about this. You can see a couple of ideas here. You can be as creative as you want. So as I said before, I do like to hold crystals. This is not absolutely necessary. I hold crystals actually when I'm doing tarot or mediumship readings, as well as part of enhancing my spiritual communication. But as I say, once again, it's down to your comfort levels. These are a couple of my favourites. Now, well before, I'm just going to share a little story here, and I'm obviously speaking fast because I want to get this video done and not too long for you. You can always slow it down or speed it up. But either way, before I started studying crystals, I actually found, because I live in Western Australia and we have a lot of prospecting and minerals and this kind of thing, I stumbled upon a prospector, and he was selling, clearly, crystals and rocks and that kind of thing. And I was fortunate enough to buy a geode, much like this image that we see here, the purple amethyst with the selenite in it, which had naturally occurring selenite in the midst of the geode. Now, at the time that I bought this, we actually all thought that it was a flawed geode, because of having the white on it. But selenite has got amazing properties in itself, and so I consider I've been very blessed to actually have this. These are actually all my favourite crystals for angelic communication, by the way. Celestite is incredible. Labradorite is incredible. Actually, they all are. I shouldn't need to really go on about it. The only thing I would say is, of course, if you're going to buy a crystal, you go to the one that you're drawn to, okay? And you might just be drawn to one of those. You might find one of them repelling. There's other crystals that you can use. But the point is too, you don't actually need to go and buy crystals. But if you do decide that you want to have a specific crystal as part of your own activities, just be aware if you're buying online, there's a lot of fraudulent suppliers out there these days. I've discussed this in other videos. And also, please be aware that while lapis is one of my most favourite crystals, particularly the one from Afghanistan, I would not recommend buying it at this point in time, simply because it's actually illegal for it to be sold, and there's very, very harsh penalties towards those people that obviously go and harvest it, because there's no way around this. I've just got to be straightforward. If you've got Afghanistan lapis, it has most likely been sourced because it's been stolen from the mine site, smuggled across borders, country borders, and then sold within the country that you're living in. Now, the problem is that these Afghanis that are stealing it, they are putting their life on the line, and they will do it because there is obviously buyers out there who will buy it. But to me, I consider that to be very irresponsible. I don't want people dying so that I have a crystal. I'm sure that you're the same. So I'm going to reiterate stuff here because these are my tips, and just to reinforce them, it might be repetitive, but hopefully it will actually embed into your own consciousness the messages and the tips that I'm giving you. Is obviously when we start to work with angels, it can feel a bit weird, right? Especially if we don't believe, and I'm doing the quotation marks, angels. If we don't believe in them, it's going to feel a little bit weird. You might be concerned that people think you're mad. Certainly when I started working with angels, I was not comfortable with the words. I was comfortable, interestingly, with descriptions such as beings of light and love or highest vibrational beings, but I wasn't comfortable with the word angel. But anyway, you've got to, I suppose, at least work out a way to be comfortable with that word, or to find a substitute word, because it's the intention that matters. It's not the name that actually matters. I decided to use the words and names of the being that I was trying to connect with. I'm trying to think how to actually convey this. This is part of me personalising my communication with the angels. It felt more comfortable for me. So, the same with words like God, people, whatever way you define the creator, call it that. If it's Mother Goddess, if it's God, Father God, whatever name, use the name and the description that you're comfortable with. Be aware, of course, just to be chill about it. Try and be relaxed as you do it. These high energies available to all of humanity, not just X or Y or, people of a certain whatever, I guess. There becomes this misconception that to be able to connect with angels, that you've got to be some kind of supreme human being or whatever. Now, this is not true. We're all humans. We all are in form, human physical form, and we all have human limitations and this kind of thing. It doesn't make anybody better because they can actually connect or have a personalised connection with the angel, but it certainly does make life a lot more pleasant. Now, in regard to my motivation, I do encourage you to question your own motivation. For me, I was determined to know and feel the divine love of the Creator and to empower myself and to break patterns and bring in change. I'd been living with some limitation, restriction. Obviously, there was a lot of pain and suffering, and my intent was pure in as far as I wasn't seeking to connect, to use power over other people. My aim was to empower myself, to bring love into my life, to bring peace, and to create a loving and healthy environment for my children, and to do good. Actually, healing was my primary focus back in the day, and clearly I'm getting back into this. So, putting it into perspective, I wanted to help myself so that I could help others. So that's what's called purity of intent. There was no question around it. Anyway, anybody can do it. So, with this one, it's not so much a tip as a reminder that your connection to your guardian angel is extremely personal and it's sacred. And in my experience, because obviously I do readings and I connect with other people's guides and this kind of thing, your guardian angel actually doesn't usually make themselves seen by other people. And this includes if you're attending a psychic or a medium for a reading. And I understand, I'm open to a discussion, I'm open to feedback, that the reason, actually, let me rephrase this. My understanding is that we as individuals, each one of us, that will be you and me, the onus of responsibility is on us to make that connection with our guardian and our guide, to be able to see them in clearly identifiable ways. So, for example, I know what my angel looks like in as far as how they present to me, and this will be the same for you once you make your connection. When I am doing readings or delivering services to people, I can often, if I push the energy that far, I can often confirm to a person that I can see their angel's aura. I can see how tall it is. I can see the color of the light. Whatever the information is that the angel wants me to convey to the person, I can see that. However, they do not give me everything, okay? Because the bottom line is that would actually, I think, violate spiritual law. Don't quote me on it. This is my gut instinct here. I can give certain validation to the person, but I can't give them everything. And I believe that the part of not giving them everything includes not telling them what their angel's name is or their angel's purpose, because I believe that's part of the individual's soul journey. And in my own case, I had to work, I would say fairly hard actually, because this was all new to me, and I think clearly I was a bit of a try-hard. But I worked particularly hard to try and find out what the name and purpose and function of my own guardian was. And that included developing my clairaudio. Initially, I was hearing the first part, the first syllable of a name, and then I had to explore different sounds. I had to work on my yes and no's to find out, to get clarity around where I was going with this. And part of the way that I did this, to work out what their purpose was I actually referred back to the chakra system, because by the time I was connecting with my angel, I actually had a fairly good understanding of chakra function. And by knowing the chakra function, then I was actually able to narrow down what my angel's name was and what their purpose was. So to put this all into perspective for you before we close out for the day and for this video, we are all under the eye of our guardian angel at all times, okay? It doesn't matter what religion we are, we all have this divine connection and the capacity for it. Once we have made this connection, we will definitely find ourselves yearning for a tighter and a stronger connection, you invariably find yourself having a lot of fast track, in my experience, fast track spiritual growth with a desire to do human service, which is help other people. This then becomes a primary theme in our lives. Now, your guardian angel may present as masculine or feminine. They have access to your divine blueprint, or what some people call your divine plan, and they know and support us to bring this information to conscious awareness on how we can best evolve ourselves, not just for this lifetime, but for future ones. Now, your guardian will focus on building your inner connection, obviously, to the higher consciousness and aligning our energy bodies, our will, and all the rest of it to the divine, to the creator. And as such, their role is to protect us and our divine plan, and to inspire us with messages for evolution. Sorry, my doggy's now decided to chew on the squeaky toy. I'll just ignore him. Hopefully you can too. Now, obviously, as we are evolving, there can be a little bit of a battle between our higher and lower self aspects, and our guardian angel is going to provide incentives to us as part of unifying these aspects of self. Just remember, your guardian is not permitted to alter your will or to interfere. They are permitted to influence you, I believe, by bringing new people into your life and new interests that can help us to overcome hurdles or unwise and unhealthy behaviours that might inhibit us from aligning fully with divine will. Now, your guardian angel is often the initiator as a consequence of many of our challenges, and this is part of us achieving or attaining our highest potential. Now, this attainment, if you like, is, well, it includes shedding limiting thoughts and behaviours that can block and interfere with the next stage of our growth. So I guess this is where we learn to have gratitude as well. You know, that gratitude for the blessings seen and unseen, because even though unpleasant circumstances might occur, they occur, but they also expose behaviours that we can then consciously choose to release. And when we're in the really difficult times, it truly is a case of that old, Footprints in the Sand, I think, is a poem, where when we're going through them, sometimes we will feel alone and isolated. Even me at different stages in my life, after I'd made my conscious connection to my guardians, I had some really significant challenges, and I became very angry. You know, we call this a crisis of faith. And it was only when I look back upon reflection, I think, oh yes, it truly was a case of footprints on the sand. There was only one set, and that was when my angel was carrying them on their back. You know, these kind of sayings actually, just saying that makes me sort of tear up a little bit. It's through the eyes of hindsight things become much clearer. So this is why we do I give thanks for blessings seen and unseen. It's important not to allow ourselves to doubt, right? As we do this connection, doubt can be fear-based, and it blocks the angels from doing their job. So when we invoke and ask for help, this is where we've got to hold that faith. And if we struggle to hold faith, then this becomes an area for healing. We can invoke our angels to help us to build faith, right? And you can actually test them. That is perfectly okay. People say you can't, but that's a limitation based on humans. You can test them with simple things like find me the perfect car space. I did that. Just a reminder too that when it comes to angelic communication, it's not through the vocal cords. They communicate via the heart chakra, and the information that they provide is telepathic. There is nothing that is hidden between you and your guardian or the other angels, actually, because everything is communicated via these thought forms or telepathy. So I'm just sort of thinking of other ways to explain this. Basically, if you look at some of the content that I've got up on boundaries and this kind of stuff, the best way to describe it is that your guardian angel is right in your innermost sanctum, they're right there. Okay, language definitely fails to describe the experience and the emotions associated with connecting with our guardian. But the other thing too is your guardian's going to help to weed out judgments and criticisms, and to open up the space for you to be able to have spontaneous responses based on authentic and true feelings. And this, of course, all leads into this pathway of the ascension attitudes of love, surrender, and gratitude. Now, of course, I would hope by this point in time that I wouldn't need to explain to you or remind you that whenever we do any energetic activities, whether it's trying to connect with your angels or if it's about drawing healing energy into your aura or around you or sending or whatever, that we should follow any activity with thank you. I like to do thanks in advance in case I forget at the end of an activity, but quite often I will do thanks in advance and then thanks at the end of the activity that I'm doing. And what you find is that the more gratitude and truly heartfelt thankfulness, shall we say, the more we actually experience, the more blessings we receive, and the more we've got to be grateful for. So I'm going to close out today's video with a thanks from me for sticking with it for as long as you have, with my best wishes to you as you make your connection. If you need help, if you want a hand, if you've got questions, please leave a comment. I will be sure to respond. What else can I say? Just thank you for being part of my journey. And just remember, for goodness sake, above all, remember, you can connect with your guardian angel. You are good enough. You are beautiful. God loves you. Your guardian is there for you. And I look forward to connecting with you on future videos as well. Take care, my friends. Have a blessed day. Don't forget to subscribe. See you on the next video. Bye-bye for now.